Hi, this class is about cloth simulation, and one thing I want to mention is that you have to watch chapter till the end to see what settings work good, because these lessons are edited and you don't see the 20 or maybe 15 minutes of simulation, you see the final result. So watch the chapter till the end and then play with settings. After you find values for your simulation, we start to build a material in Redshift with additional details. Now on screen you see the result of this class, and I hope you like it, so let's start to investigate details of achieving this effect. Before we start, we have to set our output settings. I use basic Redshift settings, don't change anything. Go to output, film aspect, set 0.8. This would be Instagram. In save, I use render and this $PRG underline. This will create TIFF sequence in render folder with name of our file, for example, untitled 3, so render, untitled 3, underline, and then a number of frame. Let's decrease height maybe to 1000. This would be ready for Instagram or any social. Just for this class, it's much more easier to show you because IPR, the preview render, will be vertical and it's easier to arrange the windows. So let's start. We'll create plane, square, going to display, guru shading lines, and extend number of segments. Going to hit C or convert a parametric object to polygonal one. Then I select random points on the edge. Just make sure you select the corner one. This one, this, and it will affect our simulation. You can play and set any random selection here. I have camera already in scene. We'll talk about this. Go into cloth, go into dresser and fix points. You see that our points begin to change color to the purple. So if I hit play, they will stick our material in air. Let's extend our timeline. Go into camera, go into coordinates, rotate to 90 degrees. I use R shortcut or this icon. So we have -90 in P in rotation, going to 0 frame, to 0 in Z, and up our camera to the top. Let's go to the camera. We'll see that our cloth cover all zone of our frame, and let's do a small animation. Maybe not 300, but something shorter. And we have this gravity. So I would like to stick to negative value in every 50 frames. And in between, set to positive one. You can manage to add keyframe in the middle, or you can put it closer to the left one or right one. It doesn't affect to the result. It's about animation. So we have this pushing down and bottom of our cloth. We can go and play with settings. For example, I decrease stiffness, so it would be much softer, less stiff. And I think this will be okay. So we have this beautiful bounce to the top, to the bottom. We can add rubber. The higher value, the more it starts to this kind of jiggling and more deforming. So 100, you see that it starts to create something very, very organic. We don't need this, so we add a little bit of waving, and I like it. And one more trick, we're going to size and hit this middle button to add keyframe, frame number 10, 100, and in between we can add some external size growth. So what it does, it starts to push our cloth to the side to 130% and then shrink it down. It creates these wrinkles at the start and may add additional details. You see that first wave, and we can add this animation at the start of any of our cycles. Here, close 100 and maybe 130. So let's play wrinkles. You'll see that add some animation. Maybe we can extend the length of this animation, and you see that everything now works very fast, but we can render it in slow motion, changing frame rate from 30 to 90. So basic settings are ready, and now we have to create additional geometry for the caging and adding these lines on the cloth. The next step is to add additional geometry that will affect to the form of our cloth. It would be like colliders. We create some cube, maybe 10 by 10 or 1000, 10 in Y. And we build, let me hide, double click on each of these points, create cube, well, cloner, move cube to the cloner, 3 in X, and maybe 4, and 3 in Z, and rotate it. Now we have to create connect object, move our elements there, Alt G for null, so it will be cage 1, and we up our cage very high so our cloth doesn't intersect in first phases. Now we have to create simple animation. I create two keyframes on 0 and 30 with very high value, maybe even higher. And in 10 or maybe in the middle, very low, not this one, but maybe 40. And we see that nothing gonna intersect. So we have to adjust the position of our animation. This should work much better. And now on this connect, we have to adjust simulation tag cloth collider. Now our playback will be much slower. And we see this kind of bounce. Going to cache, calculate it. After calculating cache, we can play and check what we get. And this is effect I want to achieve. So we have this deformation of our cloth driving with gravity and with our cage. Now what we have to do, we duplicate this cage once more, and I delete one of the cloner. Let me hide with Alt left click. I'm going to rotate to 45 degrees, so it would be diagonal, and move our keyframes further. So first iteration we have here, then we have face at the bottom going up, and here we have our lines to interact this cloth. And one more, so we have cage 1, cage 2, and cage 3. I hide once again cage 2, unhide cage 3, and rotate it to 45 degrees. So we have this rhombus like thing. Now we have this pushing to the bottom and then up face. So we select our elements here, move keyframes, and now we have to recalculate cache and to see what we get. It takes a bit longer because we have interaction with collider, but it provides us very fast playback and we can check what is the result of our simulation. It takes 8 megabytes, so we hit play. We can hide our cages. One, two, and 3. So everything looks fine, but we have, of course, very fast speed. The first one interaction, second, and third one. I'm not sure the third works the way we want. Yes, we have to adjust the position of our keyframes. Like this, go into cache, recalculate. It's ready. Hide this cage. Play. First, good one, second, and third. Yeah, perfect. We have this very organic look. So what we have to do is create a new copy, going to play. We have everything goes right as we want. Unselect everything, go into plane to polygon mode, right click and set subdivide 2 times. It creates very dense net going to points and we lost all of them. So we need to add new selection just on the edges. You'll see that I can move cursor near, not exactly to the point, and it still will be selecting elements that we need. One thing I want to say, that the highest value of polygon we have, the better simulation will be. Fixed points set. Cache, you see that cache grows from 8 megabytes to 281, and it takes to simulate, I think, 5 or maybe 10 times, 5 or 10 minutes. So I hit calculating, and be sure that if it runs very slow, you can go to previous version of your cloth and simulate with a lower resolution of polygon. So we will meet after caching will be done. Now I have cache calculated and it takes less than it was promised. Let's play, and we have this beautiful animation, but you see that in previous settings with lower scale of polygon count, we had absolutely different animation. And this is the bad thing. So what we have to do is to match our animation. For example, I decrease rubber maybe to 5. The higher iteration you set, the more stiffer would be your cloth. So I up it. It takes 10 minutes to calculate, and I think I will check once more with these settings. So I decrease rubber, going to calculate this, and we wait for next 8 to 9 minutes to see what we get. This is the worst part in simulation because cinema doesn't provide very big and fast speed, and you have to check once again all settings you set, because with changing of topology you will get very different result. I hope this calculation would be good. We decrease rubber, we add some iteration, so which should provide more stiff behavior of simulation, and we'll see you in few seconds when caching will be done. Let's check the result, and now it works much better. Of course, we have some strange here, but I think we'll keep the result as it is because of mentioned above speed of these things. So I think we'll have to add duration, add stiffness, decrease maybe rubber, and find the proper way. But I think this simulation, this part is good to show what I want to achieve. This one is very, very bad. Also, we'll make one more test. So I save this thing and open point 2 file, save incremental to point 4, and I would like add only one subdivision. Deselect all, one subdivision, plane, reselect our corner and side points, going to cache, fix points, forces, tag, increase iteration to 3, decrease rubber to 5, maybe stiffness to 40, and let's calculate this cache. It should be much faster than previous high dense mesh, and maybe this thing will be better for our further material exploration and working with this scene. I know that you can upset that you spent almost 30 minutes with simulation, but this is the truth about close simulation, dynamic soft body. You have to find proper settings, and increasing density will change the behavior, increasing iterations will change the behavior, and this is like finding proper combination of the settings in tag, proper settings in mesh density, and this is why simulation takes a lot of time, a lot of experience, and is very hard to produce good result. You see that speed of calculation is much faster. Let's play. And this result is better for us because we have all that deformation with our cage. Let's pick this one and set our render, going to play, right click on our plane, Redshift object. If you use Octane, you can use another tag, or you can use subdivision surface, but here we can set maximum subdivision 6, maybe 2, 4 would be enough. And now we get rid of these sharp edges. So it's like subdividing few times. We have this small thing going out of the screen. So I go into camera, set to 50 degrees, 50 millimeters, going up. And now we have beautiful Let me find the frame. Disable subdivision, enable subdivision. Enabling, disabling. So we have these beautiful edges of iteration with our cage. Let's stick to this frame and let's start. I like this start phase with cell structure. Let me find this one. Go into camera and we start to build materials, lighting, and bringing the final look as you see in preview. Now we have to build the material. I create base material and load texture. I use site called ambientcg.com, view !ID fabric 031. I think you can use search there and find even fabric 31 asset. And I pick the roughness texture from it. So fabric 4K, and when I apply to the surface, you see that we need to apply to the plane. It's very subtle texture with not huge amount of details. I can use ramp, connect texture, surface, and remap it to create more contrast. Here, if you like, we can, in texture, create different scale. For example, I want it to be smaller. Twice should be okay. And this texture I will load to bump map and to roughness. Reflection roughness and remapped version to bump, overall bump input, and connect erase material to this face. So we see that there is something going on there. We can play with bump and be sure you change height scale to your view angle and distance of camera, because when you're far from it, you can set extra details, for example, like 5, and you get this strength bump texture, but in close-up, it would be a very bad looking thing. So I think 2 should be okay. Now we add some maybe color, something maybe less vibrant. Now I add some light. I disable preview in viewport because it starts to look black, not good. Rotate, holding E, move it to the side, T for scaling, and decrease intensity multiplier maybe to 10. Going up, so it's like diagonal look, and now we see all the details we have in our material. This bump looks awesome. Maybe add some intensity, maybe 25 should be okay, but we have sharp shadows and dark zones at the right. So I duplicate Ctrl+C, Ctrl+V our light, rotate it to 180 degrees, move it to the right, extend it to the very high scale, and decrease intensity to very low value. So we don't have too much dark like this, and slide lighting up from the right. And this is the main material we can do, but I want to add few more details to it. Now let's create additional details. First of all, we decrease this bump a little bit because we will create a beautiful mixing of bump textures. Now we have to use maximum noise, or you can use base noise, but maximum noise is more handle, is more maximum noise can be replaced with standard noise, but its settings is more comfortable for me to use. So I decrease scales to 0 to produce this kind of lines. But I would like to have few more noise. Let me play with scale, maybe extend it. So we have horizontal lines and in Z vertical lines. And now I think you see what I'm talking about and what I want to achieve. We have these kind of deformation lines that we need to, that we have in claws in real life. Let's play, decrease the scale, maybe 20, 30, looking good, but I keep with maybe less vertical. Great. This will be our vertical lines. And now we have to create horizontal lines. 150. We have them. Now we add some color layer and blend them. Base color, layer color 1. Add, and we have this kind of fabric look. One more trick that we're going to play. Going to, I always forgot how we can create it. Create, or maybe select, set vertex weight 0. Everything is red. And now we have use fields, and we can drop our cage there. And what we get? When our cage start to interact with our mesh, it creates a zone. Let me set to surface, where we can add additional details into material. I add radius a bit, and we can add another cage, for example, to add, and cage 3 to add, and you'll see that it disappear. Select all of them, set to surface 30, and let's go back to our base frame we want to play with. Now we can go and create vertex attribute and drop our tag here, attribute name. So we get black and white mask. And what we have to do is to mate out this black one from our layer color mask, layer mask 1, layer mask 2, from this fabric look. So we're going to layer 2, enable it, multiply, connect them, doesn't work, add ramp, general input, layer 2 color, good one, yes. Now it works perfectly. And we have this kind of stitches fabric emulation almost in the zone where we have iteration with our cages. Now we can remap it to make it bigger, maybe add noise amount for extra detail. If you want these lines, I don't want to use them. I'm going to these fields, going to increase radius maybe to 40, and now we can create a new node. called displacement, texture, going to displacement, hide, of course, our cages, and nothing happened because we didn't enable displacement map. Set enabling, and now we get what I was talking about, these additional lines and details. We can play with strength of the displacement. The higher maximum displacement, the higher displacement scale can be. So this is like clamping. And now we can play with noise, maybe decrease the scales to match this micro fabric detail, and voila, that's great details. Add additional realistic things to your cloth simulation, and this looks much more realistic than, if I disable it, this one. I think that's great. We can check the animation. I decrease resolution by 2, going to Redshift, bucket quality set to low and even lower, set animation to be calculating. We don't need this 20 frames at the start, and I think don't need last frames. 20, 140, and as I said, we use frame rate 90, and we don't have almost reflection, 1, maybe 2, 0 refraction, transparency we don't use, combined depth decrease, ray tracing RTX we can check on 1 frame, but I think in this low resolution it doesn't affect much into the speed, so I hit render and we'll see what the result animation would be. We have some animation to be calculated, and I'll stop the render. I think this preview should be enough. We're going to frame rate, set to all frames. This should be slower, and now we have these extra details. Of course, it's not perfect, and sometimes it could looks strange, but with matching proper value of vertex map to blend it in good angles, you'll see here we have good stitches amount, and then we have something strange, but not strange, but kind of turbulencing cloth, and very good details, wrinkles, and cloth and deformation. So I hope you find this class interesting. Let me find this frame. Very good. Now let's find this one. I think this looks very interesting too. We're going to second connect and maybe decrease the radius, maybe 15. Yes, this looks much more organic. Going to displace, maybe set it to 1.5, and last frame with this rhombus. It's like here. This is our third connect, and decrease maybe to 50 or even 10. Going to our material, I will add bump much more to get these details, and this is the end of this class. Hope you find a lot of new and interesting techniques that helps you to improve your render and simulation. Thank you for your attention. Have a nice day.